Welcome to the Kerbal Mining Guild. This series of tutorials will guide new members through the process of learning how to mine, transport, and refine ore from almost any celestial body in the Kerbal system, as well as some advanced tutorials on asteroid capture and mining, mining for profit, and a self-sustaining ship. In our first tutorial, we'll be covering the bare essentials you need to know in order to get an understanding of how mining works in KSP. Please note that this tutorial only covers stock mining mechanics. In an advanced episode, we will be discussing how various mods can add to the mining experience. For now though, let's get down to the basics. In KSP's 1.0 update, Squad introduced resource mining into the game as a way for players to have new experiences, challenges, and ways to play the game. In order for the mining experience to be fully enjoyed, we must first go over what it really added to the game piece by piece. Number 1. Ore. Ore was added to the game as a resource like fuel or electricity. This is what you mine to be refined into the various fuels that your crafts use in KSP. It's on every celestial body in the game in infinite quantities, except for asteroids, which have finite quantities, as well as the Sun and Jewel, which can't be landed on, so they have no quantities. Each time you create a new game, you have the ability to set the abundance of resources to a value ranging from 10 to 120%. Any save games that you have carried over after the update to 1.0 will have the default value of 100% set. Ore is also randomly distributed throughout the bodies, meaning that no two games will have the same concentration of ore in the same places. Number 2. Scanners. There are 3 scanners that can be used to make drilling for ore something a bit more precise than just guessing where it will be and poking the ground. First, there is the M700 survey scanner. This large satellite is used to scan an entire body for resources. It will give you a breakdown of how much of every resource is on a body. This includes things like ore, water, and minerals. It also will show any modded resources you've added into your game. This information can be viewed from the tracking station when you select the body in question. When you do this, the scanning data can also be seen overlaid onto the body, so that you can see where the highest concentrations of resources are. One final benefit to this scanner is that when you scan a body, you receive a small amount of science for doing so. The second scanner is the M4435. This scanner operates on a much smaller scale than the M700, but does essentially the same thing. The key difference between the two is the M4435 can only scan what's directly below it. The third scanner is the surface scanner. It serves the same purpose as the other scanners, but can only be used from the ground or a very low altitude. It has the added benefit of taking detailed scans, which can be used to further refine data on your orbital resource projections. Each of these scanners will be discussed in more detail in a future episode, where we'll really get into how and when to most effectively use them. Number 3. Holding tanks. There are 2 sizes of holding tanks to contain the ore that you mine. One comes in the 1.25 meter size, and the other comes in the 2.5 meter size. The 1.25 meter tank holds 300 units of ore, and the 2.5 meter tank holds 1,500 units of ore. We will discuss potential pros and cons of each later, but for now, those are the only differences worth noting. Number 4. The drill. There is only one drill in KSP, the Drill-O-Matic mining excavator, and it does exactly what the name says. It drills and excavates ore. There is some advanced skill involved with the drill for a future tutorial. However, for the time being, all you need to know about it is that it needs to point towards the ground and be close enough to it to reach it. Number 5. The ISRU. ISRU is a real-world acronym that stands for In Situ Resource Utilization, which is shorthand for, hey, it's too expensive to take all this junk with us. How can we make it when we get there? It actually refers to more things in the real world than just fuel, but for our purposes, all this converter does is make liquid fuel, oxidizer, and monopropellant. It will not convert directly from a drill, so you need to have ore tanks feeding it from somewhere. They can either be connected directly to the ISRU, or through docking ports in the case of an orbiting station or multi-part ground base. Now that you have a basic understanding of how all of these new systems work, there are a couple of other things worth noting before we wrap up. The first is that mining is a late-game skill. You get the basic stuff by researching advanced science tech, which is in the second to last research column. It may be good for you to practice these concepts in sandbox mode, where you won't have to worry about investing time to research and unlock them. The second is that mining is one of the deepest and most challenging activities in the game to master. It is true that anyone can just go and mine and refuel their ship, but if you really take the time to learn and perfect the mining system, you can completely change the way you play the game. I don't want to get too ahead of myself though, so we'll get into that in the future. For now, make sure you take a good, long shower. We're about to get dirty. I'll see you in part 2 of the Kerbal Mining Guild Orientation Series, where we'll discuss assembling and using your first miner. Until then, J. Arthur, signing off.